Hello there, my name's Cameron. I'm a visitor experience assistant here at Cosford, and today we're going to talk about something a bit different. We're talking about this beast I'm in today, the Centurion main battle tank. The Centurion tank is arguably known as the first main battle tank in the world. Before the Centurion came, British tank designs were purposely limited due to doctrine. You had two main tanks that the British would deploy. These would be cruiser tanks, which are very fast, but they're lightly armoured. These are meant to break through an enemy line and cause chaos in the rear. The other one was the infantry tanks. These were designed to support the infantry in breaking through a front line. These were heavily armoured machines. However, they were quite slow and couldn't move about the battlefield that well. Obviously, when Blitzkrieg happens in the Second World War, the doctrine is basically obsolete and the tanks have a mediocre reputation. When this comes in, this knocks everything out of the park. Centurion had it all. It had a good combination of armour protection, firepower and speed. Centurion had impressive armour protection when it came out, which was also helped to the fact that the front armour is actually sloped. This made it even harder for the shell to penetrate the armour. The gun, which in this case is covered in a camouflage netting, was originally a 17-pounder gun, which was the best British tank gun of the Second World War. It was eventually upgraded to, in this case, a 105mm tank gun, which was the standard tank gun used by the majority of NATO armies during the Cold War. I'm now on the engine deck of the vehicle. Underneath all this plating here is a Rolls-Royce Meteor engine. It's actually a converted Spitfire engine. It could crank out around 650 horsepower. That could give this tank a top speed of 21 miles per hour. Centurion had a 4-man crew. You would have 3 men in the turret here and 1 man in the front who would be the driver. In this hatch would be the loader. His main role is to select the ammunition that the tank commander has asked for to be loaded into the breech. And this here is the tank commander's position. Underneath him would be the gunner's position, who would ready and get the gun on target under the tank commander's command. One of the many questions that visitors ask about the Centurion is, what are these bolted onto the side of a turret? These are actually smoke grenade launchers. These are designed to get the vehicle out of harm's way as a last resort. If you are overwhelmed by an enemy and need to get out of the battlefield, you would fire these, and these would cover the immediate front and sides of the tank in smoke, so the enemy couldn't see where you were. The Centurion was an excellent tank. It had a good combination of armour, firepower and speed. It served the British Army well in its various campaigns during the Cold War. It was so successful that 17 other countries brought and operated Centurion. In the 1970s, Centurion was phased out, being replaced by heavier and more up-armoured main battle tanks. However, a handful of these were kept on and converted to be in use with the Royal Engineers. They would serve up until 1991, serving in the Gulf War. You must be wondering, what's a tank doing here at the Royal Air Force Museum at Cosford? Well, that's because we're in the National Cold War exhibition, built in order to educate people about the Cold War. And obviously, this tank is one of the most successful tank designs of that era. Of course it should be here. If you liked this talk on the Centurion, and if you want to learn more about it, come and visit it at the Royal Air Force Museum at Cosford. Also, subscribe to the museum YouTube channel.